And joining us on the program is foreign affairs and strategy commentator Adam Roosevelt. He joins us from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Adam, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, I want to know, there are a lot of speculation what this visit portends for both sides. You know, what do you think Russia gains from this meeting with Kim Jong-un coming all the way from North Korea?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you and the viewers. First, let's state that Russia and its current engagement with Ukraine already is a conversation about Russia's immediate aggression, its ability to enter into conflict. And now with North Korea visiting Russia, this signifies that even during this conflict season, a war, Russia is still able to host foreign dignitaries. They're also still able to negotiate diplomatic relationships, and they may even be able to reestablish themselves as a nation that could still build coalitions and also bolster trade globally with specific nations who may not be aligned with the West.
Well, it's quite clear there has to be some gains for the North Korean side. U.S. and Russian media says he hopes to get a food deal out of this. And how likely is that to happen from this visit?
Well, I think that it is highly likely. And if we look at what's happened recently geopolitically with BRICS, we know that Russia is a member of BRICS, and BRICS is currently expanding. Now, with this expansion, North Korea is looking at positioning itself as a partner and demanding new relationship with Russia, which will include a few different commodities to include food, potential weapons trades, and other economic stimulus packages that would come from a bilateral trade deal. So I think food is on the table, weapons are on the table, and a lot of other commodities that would be normally traded between nations.
Interest in this visit is understandable. America needs to understand the types of weapons Kim is offering his Russian counterparts, as this could really impact on the war in Ukraine. What do you think happens if what is sold to the Russians is not what America anticipated?
Well, I think we have to be extremely precise with the fact that there are United Nations resolutions in place based on sanctions and the UN's position against North Korea. But I also would say that from a global trade perspective, North Korea will state that it is simply trading a commodity, which happens to be a weapon. They may not take the position that those weapons are intended to be sold to be used by Russia in the Ukraine war. They will take the position that this is a foreign military sale of weapons, and it is not their intention to support Russia in its engagement in the Ukraine.
And would this be tantamount to North Korea being an active participant in the war in Ukraine?
I would say we would need to be able to draw a conclusion that this sale particularly is aimed at supporting Russia's offensive capabilities in the Ukraine. And again, I think North Korea's main objective is to trade commodities, but because the PR, public relations around the Russia-Ukraine war, anything that could take life in form of a weapon in terms of trade would be seen as a facilitation and support of Russia's engagement in the Ukraine, but that may not be the case.
Adam, do you think it's significant where these talks take place? I mean, there are speculations it could be at the Vysotny Space Center in Russia's Far East.
Well, I do think that it's important to note that where this engagement is taking place in Russia, it is symbolic. I think that the environment showcases Russia's technical capabilities. And I think being in that environment showcases that Russia is not just engaged in Ukraine, it is engaged in space exploration. It is a nation that is trying to promote its capability to not just be a tactical weapons engaged player, but also a futuristic nation that is expanding its economic interests, not just in this particular domain, but in the space domain as well. So it's looking beyond just this current conversation of weapons and tactical engagement.
Right, I get it. And finally, Adam, what do you make of Mr. Kim's message to the West by making his first international trip abroad in 4 years to Russia, the last place he visited in 2019?
I think this is a strong statement. I think this statement signifies that North Korea has the ability to diversify its diplomatic relations, and they're also actively pursuing building coalitions that are not in support of the Western alliance's objectives, but may be in the support of the Eastern alliance. So I think that's a strong statement that they're exploring partnerships, regardless of how difficult those partnerships may look. They're actively engaged in pursuing them.
All right, thanks again, Adam. We appreciate your contribution to the discussion.
Thank you.